English, what is this nonsense? So he's angry and he's blaming the teacher. Text 27.
Shantihi sadavo loke.
Shantihi sadavo loke.
Durmaitrashadmaveshinaha. Eshamudetyagam kale.
Eshamudatyagam kale.
Rogapata kinamiva.
In due course of time, various types of diseases are manifest in those who are sinful. Similarly, in this world, there are many deceptive friends in false garbs. But eventually, because of their false behavior, the actual enmity becomes manifest. So he's very angry with the teacher. So he's thinking, now he's saying, you all are my enemies. And because you have promised to do something and you're doing something, you have lied to me, you will get some diseases. He's very, very angry with this guy, and he's like kind of cursing. And Srila Prabhupada quotes from the Smriti Shastras, the bottom of the purport. Murderers or brahmanas are later afflicted by tuberculosis. Drunkards become toothless. Those who have stolen gold are afflicted by diseased nails. And sinful men who have sexual connection with the wife of a superior are afflicted by leprosy and similar skin diseases. So there are reactions for things that we do. So we should be very careful how we do in life also. Text 28.
Shri Guru Putra Uvacha.
Shri Guru Putra Uvacha.
Namapranitam Naparapranitam.
Namapranitam Naparapranitam.
Suto Bhadatyesha Tabendra Patro.
Suto Bhadatyesha Tabendra Patro.
Naisargikiyam Matirasya Rajan.
Naisargikiyam Matirasya Rajan.
Niyachamanyam Kadadasmamanaha.
Niyachamanyam Kadadasmamanaha. The son of Sukracharya, Hiranyakashipu's spiritual master said, O enemy of King Indra, O king, whatever your son Prahlada said was not taught to him by me or anyone else. His spontaneous devotional service has naturally developed in him. Therefore, please give up your anger and do not unnecessarily accuse us. It is not good to insult a Brahmana in this. So he's saying don't insult Brahmins. So you get bad reaction also. Text 29.
Sri Narada Vacha.
Sri Narada Vacha.
Gurunaivam Patiprokto.
Gurunaivam Patiprokto.
Surasutam.
Bhuyaha surasutam.
Nachet Gurum Khiyante.
Nachet Gurum Khiyante.
Kuto Bhadra Sati Matihi.
Kuto Bhadra Sati Matihi.
Translation. Sri Narada Muni continued. When Hiranyakashipu received this reply from the teacher, he again addressed his son Prahlada. Hiranyakashipu said, You rascal, most fallen of our family, if you have not received this education from your teachers, where have you gotten it? So he's very angry, he wants to find out who's talking. So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada quotes Vishwanath Chakravarti, who explains that devotional service is actually Bhadra Sati, not Abhadra Asati. In other words, knowledge of devotional service can be neither inauspicious nor contrary to etiquette. Because Hiranyakashipu is thinking it's bad. Actually, any knowledge about Krishna or devotional service is always good. We've already discussed that Krishna is always good. Whether he kills somebody or whether he helps somebody, it's always good. Okay? Text 30.
Shri Prahlada Vacha.
Shri Prahlada Vacha.
Matirna Krishne Paratasvato Va.
Matirna Krishne Paratasvato Va.
Vito Vidyeta Grihapratana.
Vito Vidyeta Grihapratana.
Adanta Gobir Vishatanta Mishram.
Adanta Gobir Vishatanta Mishram.
Punashcharvita Charvanana.
Punashcharvita Charvanana.
The next three verses are very famous. If you can memorize them, it's good for you for preaching. Translation. Prahlad Maharaj said, because of their uncontrolled senses, persons too addicted to materialistic life make progress toward hellish conditions and repeatedly chew that which has already been chewed. Their inclinations toward Krishna are never aroused, either by the instructions of others, by their own efforts, or by a combination of both. So, in the purport, Srila Prabhupada says, a lot of people take or use Bhagavad Gita, but they use it for the wrong reasons. Particularly, he quotes politicians and scholars. Because they have no proper training, they are using it for their own agenda, so to speak. And in reality, it doesn't help anybody. It doesn't help them, the politicians or the scholars, who like to write something and say, look, I wrote such a nice paper on that. So, but nobody gets any benefit, long-term benefit, because it's a short-term thing. Maybe someone will give a medal for writing a nice thesis or paper. But at the end of the day, or a politician will be appearing same day, people will vote him. But then he may come as a politician, but he may not do everything the people ask him. So he'll actually let them down. So all these are just for a short term and only for one life or one term of their political career like that. So they are all interested in using it for some material benefit and not for the sake of Krishna consciousness. For them it's impossible because they want material things. Therefore, he says, Matirna Krishna. So for them they cannot. If they don't have that desire to please Krishna, it can never take place. Primarily, if you are always a sinful person, you cannot take up also Krishna consciousness. What is that? Krishna says, right? Esham tu antagatam jnanam punya karma bhajante mam dhridavrata. So that cannot take place if you have all the sinful proclivities. Okay. So such people, they use the Bhagavad Gita to promote themselves, but at the same time they say Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita is fictitious. It's not true. It's just for our own sake, like that. It's like a story like that. So for them, they say Krishna is this, that, or something else, or they say he's just a powerful king, and we are just following like that. Yeah. So others may say, like Prabhupada says, even though someone may accept Krishna and Rama as the supreme, he thinks of Rama and Krishna as impersonal because he has no idea of service to Krishna. So there are people who don't think that when you go to the spiritual world, you have to do service. In fact, many religious organizations are like that. Major religious groups, people, they don't think of serving in the spiritual world. Nobody thinks of serving. They all think they'll go there and have a good time. Right? Mostly that's all they're thinking like that. So for this kind of person, Srila Prabhupada says they are in the category of punascharvita charvananam. Because they will keep coming back to enjoy this kind of material things, life after life also. Even though maybe even as a politician, sometimes you win and sometimes you lose your elections and so on. And even though they know they're going through the same thing, they still cannot give up. So they know they've gone through the same thing. And sometimes as devotee, when you practice, you know you're going to do something wrong. And if you are not going to stop yourself, then you're going to experience the same situation. So then it's the same thing. Again and again, you're going through the same correction and same, your guru may tell, don't do this, and you still continue doing it. So it's the same situation. You're going to chew the same thing and have the same reaction. So the point is, if you focus on material things, you're going to experience the same difficulties in the end. And so we should understand those things are not going to make us happy. We need to move away from that. Otherwise, it is only temporary for only a limited time and it's sense enjoyment. So towards the end of that paragraph, Srila Prabhupada says, Materialistic person tries to enjoy sense gratification in different bodily forms, life after life. But still they are unsatisfied. In the name of personalism, this ism or that ism, such persons always remain attached to the materialistic way of life. So it's very difficult. So Prabhupada quotes the Bhagavad Gita, Bhoga Aishwarya Prasakta, Bhoga and Aishwarya. If you want opulence, material opulence, and if you want to enjoy senses, it's not going to give you Krishna. So you cannot focus on the Prasakta, not possible. So therefore, Vyavasayatmika Buddhi cannot take away. Your one-pointedness is not there. And you can experience that also. When you are too much involved in material things, I got to get this thing done, that thing done. You have no time for Krishna. Yeah. And even though you can say I'm a devotee, but actually in reality you are more of a sense enjoyer. So that's kind of shaky platform we want to stand on. And we always, always you'll find we give that as an excuse. I have this, I have that, I have that. But in the meantime, the Kala Shakti is taking away our life. And then when do you actually say you have time? So that is the situation with such people who just want to continue to enjoy, and therefore they will go to hell, Prabhupada says. Adanta gopi vishatam tamishram. Tamishram means to the lowest ignorant kind of condition, hellish condition. Like that. But to overcome that, one should do service to the devotees, particularly if they are very advanced, like Rishabhadev says, So we have to think, Mahat Sevan Dwaram Mahu Vimukte. Only if you serve the Vaishnavas and roll in the dust of their feet, then only you can get this ability to actually have a taste. So for us, our blessings are coming from Srila Prabhupada. He is such an exalted person, and he has given his mercy through his disciples, and so we take that protection. And if we can serve them, then we can also gain the same attention for Krishna consciousness. So Prabhupada says towards the beginning of that last paragraph, as explained in the following verses, unless one adheres to such a great personality, one cannot understand Krishna. Okay, so you must take shelter of a devotee, a spiritual master, or someone very advanced, Srila Prabhupada, like that. You must surrender to them. Hiranyakashipu wanted to know where Prahlad had gotten this Krishna consciousness. Who had taught him? So then Prahlad, he replies that I took it, I understand, by serving a Mahat. Who's that? Narad Muni. Yeah. But if
No, it's not broadcasting. Audio broadcasting.
Okay. Anyway, those who try to adjust material conditions are said to be chewing the chew, because the end result is the same, always the same. You cannot, just because, like Prabhupada says, right, even though you can be a millionaire, you can only eat 2 chapatis, then you will only need 2 chapatis, no matter what house you go in. If you go into a 10-room bungalow or a 2-room apartment, you still may eat the same amount. It's not going to change. So that's chewing the chew. You've gone through it, but still you cannot give it up. Right? So in the last sentence, Prabhupada says, unless one is properly trained by a Mahatma or unalloyed devotee of the Lord, there's no possibility of one's understanding Krishna and his devotional service. Okay? So that means we have to follow what Srila Prabhupada has given us. Things like
his books.
Reading books, what else?
Chanting.
Chanting what?
Hare
Hare Krishna mantra. Chanting 16 rounds daily. Yeah. So you should start chanting, not say, one day the time, who you want, an avatar to come and tell you? Right? Everyone is thinking like that. One day avatar will take specially for me, and then even then you will say, I have no time. Okay. So this is a very famous verse. So see if we can memorize. So the next one is also another famous verse, text 31.
Nate vidu swartagatam hi gatim hi Vishnum.
Nate vidusvartagatim hi Vishnum.
Durasayaye bahirartamanina.
Durashaye mahirartamanina.
Andayatander upaniyamanas.
Andayatande rupaniyamanas.
Tepi satantram urudami buddha.
Devi shatantyam urudam vibhata.
Translation: persons who are strongly entrapped by the consciousness of enjoying material life and who have therefore accepted as their leader or guru a similar blind man attached to external sense objects cannot understand that the goal of life is to return home back to Godhead and engage in the service of Lord Vishnu. As blind men guided by another blind man miss the right path and fall into a ditch, materially attached men led by another materially attached man are bound by the ropes of fruitive labor, which are made of very strong cords, and they continue again and again in materialistic life, suffering the threefold miseries. So you can see here in this particular verse, if you're going to enjoy too much materially, then it's not possible for you to think about Krishna. And even if somebody tells you, you will always have the goal of enjoying the material things first. And therefore, you cannot understand why it's so important to take up the process of Krishna consciousness. So you'll encounter people like that. They may be very nice, they have all the qualification, but they will never take up the process. Because they have the enjoying tendencies and they want to enjoy those things. So therefore, it's very hard for them to give it up. And they will look for people who accept what their philosophy is. They will look for people who have the same ideology, and then they'll say, this Prabhu told me, but I cannot, I have these things to do. And they'll say, yes, I also have the same thing. And they all feel happy. And then they'll look at each other as their gurus, It's like that. And so they follow each other, as Prabhupada says, into the well. So the blind person is saying, I know where to go. And another blind person holds on. The two blind person will go and they'll fall down. So that is the point here. And the reason why Srila Prabhupada says is they won't take up is because they are so attached to material enjoyment. And when devotees talk to such persons, they will argue because they are not interested. So therefore, Srila Prabhupada in the purport says, there's always a difference of opinion between demons and devotees. One wants to take shelter of the Supreme Lord, the other person wants to take shelter of their senses. That's the difference. Because he couldn't understand that, Hiranyakashipu, because his goal of life is to enjoy his senses. So it's not possible for him to accept the fact that one should take shelter of another person and give up so many things of senses. So it's not acceptable for him. And so he gets angry with his son for speaking like that. When your son is talking like that, he gets more and more angry. Who is this person? How dare he talk to me like that? I know what is good for my son, my child, like that. And this person, he's a demon. The demon is thinking this guy is a demon. That's how it is. One demon will think the other demon is more worse than him or something like that. So therefore people will look for gurus, even like Kula Guru and so on in India, right? There's so many gurus, so they will accept those gurus because generally most of these family gurus, they only encourage them to do sense enjoyment. Never they tell them to go and give their life to Krishna. It's not possible because they have lost that culture. Those cultures gone. You should understand now the only source of real knowledge now is in ISKCON only. Of course, some people can argue the Sri Vaishnavas and so on. Maybe, but they cannot preach. It's not possible. They may attract a few people, but not in the scale of Srila Prabhupada's teachings. Not possible. In this Kali Yuga, this is the system. Because Mahaprabhu himself came to say how to be taught. So we cannot be blinded by all this or sentimental about these things and so on. Oh, they're nice, this is like that. No, it's not. You have to see what Srila Prabhupada is saying. These people just follow blindly. Yeah, they may be Vaishnavas, true, but they cannot give what we can give. So don't foolishly give up what Prabhupada says. Take it up now. You may never get a chance. You don't know what your next life is going to be. Just because some people argue, oh, I've taken prasadam. But there's no guarantee just because you took prasadam. Maybe not in the next life. Could be many millions of lifetimes later you get the human life because you took some prasadam. It's like that. And so this is also said by Prabhupada's disciple. One Mataji, they were in a class. Srila Prabhupada was talking about the importance of taking up seriously. Then some devotees say, Prabhupada, but we heard that if you take prasadam, you become human in the next life. Then Prabhupada looked a little bit at them and then he said, there are 400 species of human form and one of those human form looks like a monkey. That was his answer. So it means we may have a human form also, but it could be like one of those Vanara type Kim Purushas. Yeah, like that. Or maybe even an early man or, all the Stone Age men like that. Neanderthals like that. So Prahlad Maharaj already rejected those kind of gurus. So he's setting examples for us. So we also should then understand from this that we should take an actual guru. Right?
Prabhu, the statement you said, one can very easily argue that that means the Darwin theory is right? The humans have come from monkey. If one of the species of human beings is like a monkey.
Yeah, so, but we all didn't come from monkeys. Look like monkey, talk like human being, not monkey. His point is from monkey you evolve into all these different humans. No, we said everything came at the same time. So based on consciousness, you take birth in the different bodies. That's the difference. But anyway, so actually, the actual guru is one who is learned by listening. What is that? Tad vijnanatam sa gurum eva bhagachet samitpani strotriyam brahmanistam. So he himself has been trained by his guru. He served his guru, bring him firewood, and he taught him nicely, and then he listened to him brahmanishtam because that guru is fixed in that, and so he got the same ability. So therefore Prabhupada says an actual guru is Shrotriya. Okay? Shrotriya, one who has heard or received perfect knowledge through parampara. So the point is you are getting this from Prabhupada in the Guru Parampara. So don't misuse it, use it properly. Our Parampara is very glorious. You look at the personalities, Prabhupada, Bhakti Siddhanta, Bhakti Vinod. The more you hear, the more you want to hide. So therefore you should practice it nicely because they are showing us that it's the best process. And Prahlad Maharaj rejects the seminal spiritual masters like that. Okay, because we are not interested in all these material things. And as Prabhupada says, generally speaking, practically everyone is unaware of the spiritual world. As I said before, no one out there in this world, you ask them, they know any clue about spiritual world. Unless they come in the Vedic culture, they don't understand there's a spiritual world. And even if they say, yes, I'll go to spirit, what do you do? They don't know. What are you going to do? Sit there and stare at one another? Stare at the Supreme Lord who will be passing judgment on others. That's about all they can tell you. They don't understand there's a rasa, there's some leelas, all those they do not know. So Prabhupada then gives a very interesting statement or makes a statement, and this is very, very meaningful if you understand. The knowledge of the materialist is restricted within the 4 billion mile limit of this material world, the size of the material universe, which is in the dark portion of the creation. They do not know that beyond the material world is the spiritual world. Basically, 4 billion mile limit is the extent by which the sun rays goes, not beyond that, within this universe. Okay, so that's all your knowledge is. That's very intelligent that he says. Yeah. So therefore, it's important we shouldn't just simply take up some process because some guy. For most of the modern society, like in America, their gurus are Tony Robbins, right? Stephen Covey. These are the gurus,
Self-help teachers.
Yeah, all those self-help gurus, yoga teachers, but they cannot give you the goal of life. They cannot give you spiritual teachings. They cannot give it because they don't have it. They are very blind, Those are the blind people, really blind. And if you follow them, you become blind also. Yeah. Right, so it's important to understand this. Text 32.
Naishammatista Badrukramangrim Sparsha Sanartha Pagamo Yadartha Mahiya Sampadarajo Vishekam Nishkinjananam Navrinitayavad.
Unless they smear upon their bodies the dust of the lotus feet of a Vaishnava, completely freed from material contamination, persons very much inclined toward materialistic life cannot be attached to the lotus feet of the Lord, who is glorified for his uncommon activities. Only by becoming Krishna conscious and taking shelter at the lotus feet of the Lord in this way can one be freed from material contamination. That means one has to become very humble. To take dust of somebody, you have to be humble.
So it is more about the quality of humility. It's not literal meaning.
Yeah. Well, in both. The dust of a pure devotee can also save you. At the same time, you should be willing to take it. Sometimes we are too proud, We don't want to take the remnants, we don't want to eat, all those things. Don't wash their feet like that. So that means we have a big ego like that. Or we are thinking we are better than that person, so we don't want to do those activities. So unless they spare means they are willing to learn from them also. That's the other thing. Taking the lotus feet is pada sevanam of the Supreme Lord also by listening to his representative like that. Remember we read Srila Prabhupada was making that statement like that. In the second paragraph, because most people are influenced by the 3 modes of material nature, the conditions, so they're all foolish, and the education all doesn't really cultivate the proper knowledge. So, if you take up material knowledge, you send your children, they will only cultivate material qualities of how to enjoy in the material way, and life after life, that's the goal. So that's not what we want. And you become more influenced by the material energy. So in the second paragraph, Srila Prabhupada says, unless one takes the shelter of a bona fide, fully Krishna conscious spiritual master, there's no chance of understanding Krishna. This is a very important statement. Because there's few things. If you take shelter of a guru means you become humble. These are all qualities that you're trying to develop. That's why we take shelter of a guru. Because on our own we cannot understand Krishna. That's the other point. Krishna himself says you cannot come to him directly. You have to go through his servants. So there's no chance of understanding Krishna. The educators, scholars, and big political leaders worshipped by millions of people cannot understand the goal of life and take to Krishna consciousness. So they're not interested in all those things. And therefore, how can they understand the goal of life? Or rather, they have a different goal of life, which is temporary. So one has to surrender to a pure devotee of Krishna. There's no possibility of discovering this wonderful connection with Krishna otherwise. Even if somebody is not qualified, and even if they talk about Krishna, you will not be attracted because they are not purely speaking it. It is not the same actually. When you hear from a devotee, you will experience enjoyment. You will experience happiness. You will experience that this person is my well-wisher, like that. And so that is the mood by which the devotee is always trying to give his knowledge, in the hope that I can help this person. So therefore, one has to to a devotee in the Guru Parampara. Not because someone gives an amazing class like that. That's not our. There's so many saptas going on, right? People come and give you, they quote sloka and then they sing so nicely. And then you'll see, oh, so nice. And then they'll quote from this Purana, that Purana. And amazing. But then nobody becomes Krishna conscious. Nobody gives their life for Krishna. So therefore, the fruit of the tree, right, is in the taste, no? You can taste and see. So similarly, you have to see, am I surrendering? Am I not? Like that, with this person, they are not helping me, actually. So therefore, Prabhupada then quotes these verses about the pure devotees and their qualities and their faith. And he says, if you can take shelter of these personalities, their purity will also be given as a blessing. It's their mercy. And then we also will get to taste those things that they are experiencing. So in the last paragraph there, or the last verse, Prabhupada says, the Lord is obtained only by one whom he himself chooses. So again, unless you surrender to someone he already is having favor, you on your own, you cannot get Krishna. To such a person, he manifests his own form. Mundaka Upanishad. These are Vedic injunctions. So it's not something we created. ISKCON didn't create these words. These are all given from the Shastra. Therefore, we should take shelter of spiritual master. Not some silly scholar, or someone who can give sapta very nicely, or someone who sings nicely. All this is a waste of time.
So this verse means bhakti is given, not acquired.
No, bhakti is already in your heart. These people can revive those things.
It's by the mercy of Allah.
Yeah.
He chooses.
Right? Bhakti is already present in all the living entity. He's covered. Only through the pure devotees that such coverings can be removed. Everyone else will cover more, pack you very nicely in the material world. But the devotee will tie it by speaking the truth and cutting through the nonsense. Yeah. And that's why you should do that. Because they are your well-wishers. Suridam sarva dehinam. This is a well-wisher of all living beings. The devotee. Right? Text 33.
Ityuktva paratam putram Hiranyakashipurusha Ande kritatma swatsangam Nirasyata mahitale.
After Prahlad Maharaj had spoken in this way and become silent, Hiranyakashipu, blinded by anger, threw him off his lap and onto the ground. Really angry. This is how a father is treating his son. And also you can see Prahlad Maharaj, he didn't continue speaking and driving the person angry. He quoted a few verses and he has made his point. No point reiterating. Sometimes we want to keep, saying, we think we can, so good at it. But you take lesson from Prahlad Maharaj, concise and precise. And then his father got the message, and the message made him angry. Text 34.
Ahamarsha Rushavishta Kashayi Bhutalochana Vadyatam Ashvayam Vadyo Nishtarayatan Nerata.
Nisharayata
Nairitaha.
Nairta.
Nairitaha. Oh, demons. Indignant and angry, his reddish eyes like molten copper. Hiranyakashipu said to his servants, "Oh demons, take this boy away from me. He deserves to be killed. Kill him as soon as possible." So much anger, he want to kill. Text 35.
Ayam me bhartaya so hasoyam.
Ayame Bhatrahasoyam
Hitvasam suhridodama.
Hitvasvam Suhridodamam
Pitrvahantu padam yo.
Pitruvyahantu Padayo
Vishnu dasavadarshasi.
Vishnu Dasavarachati.
This boy Prahlad is the killer of my brother, for he has given up his family to engage in the devotional service of the enemy, Lord Vishnu, like a menial servant. Because Vishnu killed his brother, so therefore one who takes shelter of Vishnu is as good as the killer of my brother. That's why he's saying that. He's a crazy guy. Text 36.
He's attached to his brother, but not as much to his son.
Yes, because they're all asuras.
Right.
Same qualities.
Yeah. Text 36. Birds of feather flock together.
Vishnurvasadu kimno.
Vishnurvasadu kimno.
Harishyata asamanjasa.
Karishyata samanjasa.
Sauhridam dushtayam pitror.
Sauhridam dushtayam pitror.
Ahadya panchahayana.
Ahadya panchahayana.
Although Prahlad is only 5 years old, even at this young age, he has given up his affectionate relationship with his father and mother. Therefore, he is certainly untrustworthy. Indeed, it is not at all believable that he will behave well toward Vishnu. So he's saying this guy is so young and he's already rejected his family. Generally, they are all attached to the mother and father. So he said, I don't trust this kid, and I don't think he will also, help Narayan. Text 37.
Paropyapatyam hitakradayataushadam.
Paropyapatyam hitakradayataushadam.
Swadehajopya mayavata
Swadehajopya
Chindyatadangram yadutam manohitam.
Chindyatadangram yadutam manohitam.
Shesham shukam jivati yadvivarjanat.
Shesham sukam jivati yadvivarjanat.
Although a medicinal herb being born in the forest does not belong to the same category as a man, if beneficial, it is kept very carefully. Similarly, if someone outside one's family is favorable, he should be given protection like a son. On the other hand, if a limb of one's body is poisoned by disease, it must be amputated so that the rest of the body may live happily. Similarly, even one's own son, if unfavorable, must be rejected, although born of one's own body. It's a good logic. Like
Wrong
that.
cause.
So Prabhupada says, when we start Krishna consciousness, there's always going to be problems. Problems with yourself, problem with your family members, with your relatives, with whoever you are relating at that time in your life. There will be some problem. So therefore, we have to become very humble. That's the point. So this is a good example that of a devotee who is disturbed by so many person, especially a non-devotee father. And in this case, he wants to kill. So it also is the same thing, just like it applies to us. The Prabhupada says the non-devotees also go through the same thing, right? What's happening, to my son? What's wrong with them? So the feelings are natural both ways, but the goal may not be the same. Unless we know the real goal, then we don't know who is right and who is wrong. So sometimes we argue and then we don't know how to settle the argument, because we are confused ourselves what is right and wrong. So it is important to know our scriptures properly, so that we also can answer properly, or say it in such a way that it doesn't hurt the other person so much. Like that. So Hiranyakashipu here is saying he wants to cut that part of the body that is poisoned, like that. So this again, just like from one side, you can cut off that relationship. They'll say, get off from the house. So the other way, the devotee also can take the same stand and say, I cut off my relationship because they are poisonous to my Krishna consciousness. So that's why Prabhupada says it can be applied to non-devotees, also the same examples. So one should not keep company of non-devotee. Asat Sangha Tyage Vaishnava Achara. Asat Sangha Tyage. That means one should give up Asat Sangha. You want devotees to be associates, not karmis and other people. But in our movement, you see, oftentimes we don't get along well with devotees, so we Asat Sangha devotees. And then we go with the karmis. And then we will tell everyone, the karmis are better than you guys. So we have to be very careful, when we say such things. Because if you associate with materialists, you will become a sense enjoyer. Guarantee. Guarantee. No exceptions. Right? Unless you are like Prabhupada, there's no exception. You will fall. So therefore, we should give up the bad association. Like that. What is Sangha Tyaga, right? What is that? No, that what is in that Bhagavad Gita? Kama Krodha.
Yes, what is that? Sangasteshu Pajayate, Sangha Sangyayate Kama Krodha.
So that also it says. So according to how you associate,
you develop desire.
Yeah, you develop the desires. The karma comes up. So you cannot stop that. Even Krishna tells in the Bhagavatam, you cannot stop that. Cannot think you are perfect. You cannot think after 5 years of practicing or 10 years practicing, you think now, I'm good. Material energy cannot touch me. First thing you go finish. Immediately bewildered. So that is why associating must be with devotees. So atheistic or karmic kind of devotees we should not associate. And that's why Prahlad Maharaj here is not interested in wanting to learn those kind of philosophy. So he's very clear with his father. No, not interested. I'm not going to do what you want because I already know what is good for me. But his father could not accept this. But you can see Prahlad Maharaj spoke nicely and stopped. He didn't argue continuously to point to the mistake. But you can see the opposite nature. Hiranyakashipu could not tolerate because he wants to be right. Right? So same way, when we fight or not fight, when we are arguing or debating, we always want to win. That is wrong. To always want to be the best is okay for Krishna. But to always be correct and better than everyone, better than others, it's not a good quality to develop. For Krishna, you can do that. But among devotees, sometimes it's also good to take the humble position.
Even with non-devotees, we should not argue.
Yeah, even with non-devotees, you don't have to argue. Unless they are your friends who don't mind arguing, then it's okay. But if it's just someone in the street, you don't waste your time for 1 hour arguing with that person. Then they will just curse you and then they will not like the devotees after that. So, or they'll take some water and sprinkle on you.
Once I got my friend to temple, Prabhu.
Yeah.
Some devotee got into argument.
Yeah, exactly. Don't argue.
And he didn't come after that.
Yeah.
For a very long time.
At least he's pious, so he came after a long time.
He was so mad after that with me.
Yeah, so a non-devotee is like that. Their consciousness is covered, polluted, unable to know the goal of life. So they will be prepared to, like Hiranyakashipu, kill their own son. Next verse, text 38.
Sarve upaya hantavya.
Sarve upaya hantavya.
Samboja senasanai.
Samboja senasanai. Suralinggadara satur.
Muni dushtami vandriyam.
Muni sushamandriyam.
Just as uncontrolled senses are the enemies of all yogis engaged in advancing in spiritual life, this Prahlada, who appears to be a friend, is an enemy because I cannot control him. Therefore, this enemy, whether eating, sitting, or sleeping, must be killed by all means. Because he can't control, you have to kill him. Look at this philosophy. Huh? So he will try so many ways to kill him later. This is the philosophy of the demons. If I cannot conquer my enemy, I'll find some way. So here you see, whether eating, so he even wants to poison, like that. How else will you kill, right? If you are eating, means he wants to poison. Yeah. So he does that later on. Text 39 to 40.
Nirtaste samadishta.
Niritaste samadishta.
Bhartra Vaishulapanaya.
Bhadra Vaishulapanaya.
Digmadam Shrakaralashyas.
Digmadam sakaralasyas.
Tamras Smashru Shiroruha.
Tamdasmashu shiroruha.
Nadanto Bhairavam Nadam.
Naidanto Bhairavam nadam.
Chindi Bindi Iti Vadina.
Chindi vadina.
Atinam Chahana Sulai.
Asinam charanam sulai.
Prahradam Sarva Marmasu.
Prahradam sarva marmasu.
The demons, Rakshasas, the servants of Hiranyakashipu, thus began striking the tender parts of Prahlad Maharaj's body with their tridents. The demons all had fearful faces, sharp teeth, and reddish coppery beards and hair. And they appeared extremely threatening. Making a tumultuous sound, shouting, "Chop him up, pierce him." They began striking Prahlad Maharaj, who sat silently meditating upon the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Amazing, huh? He wasn't disturbed. Fearless. Once you become Krishna conscious, fearless.
He didn't even defend at all.
Yeah, no defensive action, nothing. So let them kill me, so be it. Text 41.
Hare Brahmanya Nirdeshya.
Hare Brahmanya Nideshya.
Bhagavata Kilatmani.
Bhagavata Kilatmani.
Yuktatmana Pala Asan.
Yuktatmani Apalasan.
Apyonyase Seva Satkriya.
Apunyasheva Satkriya.
Even though a person who has no assets in pious activities performs some good deed, it will have no result. Thus, the weapons of the demons had no tangible effects upon Prahlad Maharaj because he was a devotee, undisturbed by material conditions and fully engaged in meditating upon and serving the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is unchangeable, who cannot be realized by the material senses, and who is the soul of the entire universe. So he was totally meditating on Krishna, Narayana, and therefore the Lord was always protecting him. And Prabhupada says, just like a child on the lap of father and mother are fully protected, Prahlad was also fully protected by the Supreme Lord. So they couldn't do anything. So later on, towards the end of the purport, Srila Prabhupada says the Supreme Personality of Godhead is described in this verse as Anirdeshya. We cannot understand him to be in a particular place, for he is all pervasive. So he's with Prahlad, he's also in Goloka, he's everywhere like that. Moreover, he is Akilatma, the active principle of everything, even material weapons. So even the weapon is part of Krishna's energy. Those who cannot understand the position of the Lord are unfortunate. They may think that they can kill the Supreme Personality of Godhead and his devotee, but all their attempts will be futile. The Lord knows how to deal with them. So we think the Lord don't know, but the Lord knows. He takes his time. As a saying, the king will punish immediately, but the Lord will punish after he considers everything. Text 42.
Prayase pahate tasmin Daitrendra parishankita Chakara tadavadopayan Nirbandena Yudhishthira.
My dear King Yudhishthira, when all the attempts of the demons to kill Prahlad Maharaj were futile, the king of the demons, Hiranyakashipu, being most fearful, began contriving other means to kill him. Text 43 to 44. Yes.
Wait, this is like the first time in eternity that Hiranyakashipu is getting fearful, right?
What is it? Say properly.
It's like the first time in a long time since Hiranyakashipu got fearful.
Yes.
Fearful.
Yes. This is getting something, becoming scared now. 43 to 44.
Digjagadanda Sukendra
Digjagadanda Sukendra
Abhichara Vapatanai
Abhichara Vapatanai
Maya Visannirodha Isha
Maya Visannirodha Isha
Galadanela Bhojanai
Garadhanaya Bhojanai
Himavayagni Salilai
Himavayagni
Parvata Kramanerapi
Parvatakramanerapi
Nashashankaya Dahantum
Nashashankaya Dahantum
Nashashakaya Dahantum
No,
Apapam Asurasutam
Apapam Asurasutam
Chintam Dirgatamam Praptas
Chintam Dirgatamam Praptas
Satkartam Nabhyapadyata
Tatkartam Nabhyapadyata.
Focus, Advaita, you're letting your mind run. You're chanting Bhagavatam, so focus. Translation. Hiranyakashipu could not kill his son by throwing him beneath the feet of big elephants, throwing him among huge fearful snakes, employing destructive spells, hurling him from the top of a hill, conjuring up illusory tricks, administering poison, starving him, exposing him to severe cold, winds, fire and water, or throwing heavy stones to crush him. When Hiranyakashipu found that he could not in any way harm Prahlada, who was completely sinless, he was in great anxiety about what to do next. He could conquer the entire universe of the demigods and everybody. But now this small boy, a Sisu, he's doing something he could not understand. So he's now very frightened. Totally frightened. So he's thinking, text 45.
Esha me bhavasha dukto
Esha me bhavasha dukto
Vadopayascha nirmita
Vadopayascha nirmita
Testir droher ashadharmer
Testir droher ashadharmer
Mukta sveneva tejasa
Mukta sveneva tejasa.
Hiranyakashipu thought, I have used many ill names in chastising this boy Prahlada and have devised many means of killing him. But despite all my endeavors, he could not be killed. Indeed, he saved himself by his own powers, without being affected in the least by these treacherous and abominable actions. So he's now thinking, how is this guy not been killed? And he's using his own powers, And I've done so much austerity, and I got some power. And this guy is born and he has no austerity. He's frightened.
So last 2-3 words, Prabhu, is he telling about his own actions, treacheries and abominable actions?
Yeah.
He's talking
thinking,
about himself.
He's thinking.
Actually.
Here is.
He's thinking. He's thinking about what he has done so far. So he's thinking about his own son. So continuing that process. Okay, 46.
Vartamano vidure vai
Vartamano vidure vai
balopya jatadirayam
Balopya jatadirayam
na vishnarati menaryam
Na vishnarati menaryam
Sunaseva eva prabhu
Sunaseva eva Prabhu.
Although he's very near to me and is merely a child, he is situated in complete fearlessness. He resembles a dog's curved tail, which can never be straightened, because he never forgets my misbehavior and his connection with his master, Lord Vishnu. So he's kind of frightened. And it's true, a dog's tail, you cannot straighten it. It may seem like an ordinary example, Prabhupada says. However, one may try to straighten a dog's tail. It is never straight, but always curved.
Why is he talking about he never forgets my misbehavior? Prahlad would have.
Because he's always thinking of Vishnu. So he's thinking he's not going to forget anything. And he's afraid of Vishnu.
No, so but then here Hiranyakashipu is owning it, right, that he's misbehaving with it.
Yeah.
Well, I have a question. You can make the tail straight. Like if you make it really weak, its tail is like sticking down straight.
But you cannot make it straight and stay that way. When you let go, it'll go back to its original place, right? Yeah. It's like sometimes if your hair is curly, you can pull it straight, but you let go, it'll curl it. Yeah. Now, Srila Prabhupada also talks about this, the son of Ajigartha. So that boy was actually sold by his father to make money. Ajigartha was a Brahmana who sold his own son to make money. And his son was supposed to be put to be killed as a bali, a sacrifice. But at that time, Vishwamitra was there, and the boy took shelter of Vishwamitra, and then therefore he got saved like that. Yeah. So that's just from a different pastime that Srila Prabhupada has highlighted there. So in the sense that he's fixed on Vishnu also. Took shelter of Vishnu and never left him till the end of his life like that. Text 47.
Aprameyanubhavoyam
Aprameyyanubhavoyam
Akutasche Bayomara
Akutasche Bayomara
Dunam etad virodena
Nunam etad virodena
Mrityur me bhavitanava
Mrityur me bhavitanava.
I can see that this boy's strength is unlimited. For he has not feared any of my punishments. He appears immortal. Therefore, because of my enmity toward him, I shall die. Or maybe this will not take place. So he's already realizing that this boy will be the cause of his death. Sometimes you can predict, these things can happen to you. Yeah. Text 48.
Vidita chintaya kashin kinchin Lanasriyam adomukam Sandamarkava aushanasau Vivikta iti hochatu.
Thinking in this way, the king of Daityas, morose and bereft of bodily luster, remained silent with his face down. Then Shanda and Amarka, the two sons of Sukracharya, spoke to him in secret. So they saw the king was not happy and he couldn't kill the son. So they are now going to talk to the king. Text 49.
Jitam tvayeke na jagatrayam bruvar
Jitam tvayeke
Natasya chintyam tavanata chakshave Navai shishunam gunadoshaya padam
Oh Lord, we know that when you simply move your eyebrows, all the commanders of the various planets are most afraid. Without the help of any assistant, you have conquered all the three worlds. Therefore, we do not find any reason for you to be morose and full of anxiety. As for Prahlad, he is nothing but a child and cannot be a cause of anxiety. After all, his bad or good qualities have no value. Text 50.
Imam tu pashe varunasya badva
Imam tu pashe varunasya badva
Nidehi pito napalayate yata
Nidehi pito napalayate yata
Buddhaischa pumso vayasarya sevaya
Buddhaischa pumso vayasarya sevaya
Yavat kurur bhargava agam sishyati
Yavat kurur bhargava sishyati.
Until the return of our spiritual master, Sukracharya, arrest this child with the ropes of Varuna so that he will not flee in fear. In any case, by the time he is somewhat grown up and has assimilated our instructions or served our spiritual master, he will change in his intelligence. Thus, there need be no cause for anxiety. So their argument is, when he grows up, he is going to give up all this kind of people. Sometimes you see that, yeah. When they're young, they are very attached to certain things. Later on, they give up. They may come to the temple. Then when they're 15, 16, they're not interested anymore. Yeah.
So they're also thinking the spiritual master will help in this.
And they're also hoping that Sukracharya can convince him. Text 51.
Tatehi guru putroktam
Tatehi guru putroktam
Anunayedam abravit Dharmo yashobhadishtavyo Rajam yogramedina.
After hearing these instructions of Shanda and Amarka, the sons of his spiritual master, Hiranyakashipu agreed and requested them to instruct Prahlad in that system of occupational duty which is followed by royal householder families. So basically to train them in how to enjoy, how to rule a kingdom like that. So in the purport, in the middle of that purport, Srila Prabhupada writes, about Raja Rishis, how they do it for the sake of the welfare of the people and for as a service to Krishna. But Prahlad Maharaj wanted to become a Raja Rishi also. But here Hiranyakashipu doesn't want him. He wants him to be a Griha Medi, to enjoy the senses. So therefore Prahlad opposed those things. So in the next paragraph, Srila Prabhupada continues how one person wants the other person to become a sense enjoyer. So sometimes you see your friends can be like that. You want to be a good person and they'll say, no, why are you doing that? Now I can't enjoy because you don't want to. Yeah. So you don't want to come to the pub, drink, or go to some bar and watch naked ladies or something like that. And they'll argue like that. So his father is like that. Why are you not becoming a sense enjoyer? So, if you are in the material world, then you have to follow Varnashram Dharma properly. Otherwise, then you will be under no control. So, Hiranyakashipu has decided there should be no control. And that's the reason he conquered, no? Remember? He said, if you are impious, then you can go to heavenly planets. That was his goal. So here, Srila Prabhupada discusses how, for us to also control our senses, we have to follow some system. If you don't take up devotional service, then you have to at least do Varnashram Dharma. Yeah. then that will at least raise your consciousness. And so if it's Devi Varnashram system, you'll progress quickly. Otherwise, the only thing is you come to the mode of goodness, basically. That's about it. Yeah. All right. Text 52. Hey.
Dharmam artam jakamam cha.
No.
Dharmam artam jakamam cha. Dharmam artam jakamam cha. Dharmam artam jakamam cha. Nitaram chanu purvasha.
Nitaram chanu purvasha.
Thereafter, Shanda and Amarka systematically and unceasingly taught Prahlad Maharaj, who was very submissive and humble, about mundane religion, economic development, and sense gratification. Again, they didn't focus on religion or going out. Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha is what Vedic culture is all about. We all aspire to have some religiosity, some material things, some sense enjoyment, and ultimately going back to Godhead. That is acceptable, but over-endeavoring for Dharma, Artha, and Kama is not acceptable. Because that's purely sense enjoyment, and that's not the goal of life. Text 53.
Yatatri vargam guribir.
Yathatri vargam gurubir.
Atmane upashikshitam.
Atmane upashikshitam.
Nasadu mere takchiksham.
Nasadu mere takchiksham.
Dvandva ramopavarnitam.
The teacher Shanda and Amarka instructed Prahlad Maharaj in the three kinds of material advancement called religion, economic development, and sense gratification. Prahlad, however, being situated above such instructions, did not like them, for such instructions are based on the duality of worldly affairs, which involve one in a materialistic way of life, marked by birth, death, old age, and disease.
So how can Shanda and Amarka teach religion without God? Like they are.
Yeah, because they themselves are not qualified. We already discussed that they're not qualified Brahmanas. So Hiranyakashipu is paying them. So whoever pays top dollars, they will do what they want, right? So that's Shanda and Amarka. In the Papa Srila Prabhupada says the entire world is interested in the materialistic way of life. So Shanda and Amarka is doing what the world wants, or what Hiranyakashipu wants. Indeed, practically 99.9% of the world in the three worlds are uninterested in liberation or spiritual education. So you have to understand, only a rare soul will take up this Krishna consciousness. And therefore, if we have the chance to take up Krishna consciousness, we should take it. Not say it's so rare that I'll keep it in the safe. Like that is so rare. Right? Let's not use it too much, in case we spoil it like that. In any case, Srila Prabhupada says how we should follow great personalities, and he quotes from the 6th Canto about the Mahajans and how they teach us to follow in the path like Prahlad Maharaj. Prabhupada ends by saying one should be interested in spiritual education, not mundane education. Spiritual education should be the main education. The other things of religion, economic development, and sense enjoyment may be lesser in our education. Therefore, the Krishna consciousness movement is speaking all over the world, following the footsteps of Prahlad Maharaj, who did not like any of the materialistic education he received from his teachers. So we meet people, we have to cultivate nicely, educate them in what we are trying to tell them or help them out. Okay. Text 54.
Yadacharya paravrito.
Yadacharya paravrito.
Grahamediya karmashu.
Grahamediya karmashu.
Vayashir balakestatra
Valasya Bhavastatra
sopahuta kritakshane.
Sopahuta Kritakshane.
When the teachers went home to attend to their household affairs, the students of the same age as Prahlad Maharaj would call him to take the opportunity of leisure hours for play. This is normal, no? When the teacher goes, the children will all play. So in this case, they called him to play. Text 55.
Atatam slokshnaya vacha
Tatatam Slakshaya Vacha
pratyahuya mahabuddha
Pratyahuya Mahabuddha
vacha vidvamsanishtam
Vacha Vidvanstam Nishtam
kaya prahasanniva.
Kaya Prasanniva.
Prahlad Maharaj, who was truly the supreme learned person, then addressed his class friends in very sweet language. Smiling, he began to teach them about the uselessness of the materialistic way of life. Being very kind to them, he instructed them as follows. One of the things you need to understand is he's a pure devotee. He was born a pure devotee. So he is very potent. So even kids with his same age, he could influence them. So they all, naturally wanted to hear him because he is a pure soul who loves everybody. So they felt that affection from him. So Prabhupada says in the purport, the duty of those who follow in the footsteps of Prahlad Maharaj is to teach the entire world how to be Krishna conscious and thus be really happy. And that's what we should do. And because Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, one who teaches this science is more dear to me. Yeah. So yeah. And then towards the end, Prabhupada says, as Krishna is always compassionate to the fallen souls, his servants, the devotees of Lord Krishna, are also interested in educating the entire populace in Krishna consciousness. So he's reflecting his mood also, Prabhupada's mood. He wants to help people. The mistake of materialistic life is understood by devotees and therefore they smile upon it, considering it significant. Out of compassion, however, such devotees preach the of Bhagavad Gita all over the world. The mood is revealed in this, Prabhupada's mood is revealed there. Text 56 and 57.
Te tu tad gauravat sarve
Te tu tad gauravat sarve
Yakta krida parichada
Yakta krida parichada
Vala adushita deyo
Vala adushita diyo
Gandhara merite hita
Dvandvara merite hitai
Paryupashada rajendra
Parivashata Rajendra
Tanyashta hridaye krishna
Tanyashta Hridayeshana
Tanaha karunu maitro
Tanaha Karuna Maitro
Mahabhagavato sura
Mahabhagavato Sura.
My dear King Yudhishthira, all the children were very much affectionate and respectful to Prahlad Maharaj, and because of their tender age, they were not so polluted by the instructions and actions of their teachers, who were attached to condemn duality and bodily comfort. Thus the boys surrounded Prahlad Maharaj, giving up their playthings, and sat down to hear him. Their hearts and eyes being fixed upon him, they looked at him with great earnestness. Prahlad Maharaj, although born in a demon family, was an exalted devotee and he desired their welfare. Thus he began instructing them about the futility of materialistic life. So one of the things that you see in the translation is they were not so polluted by instructions. They were young, very small boys. So they didn't really connect with many of these negative teachings completely. So therefore Prahlad Maharaj, seeing that innocence, took advantage. And so he taught them the importance of spiritual life. And it seems that they all took it up. They became devotees. So in the same way, Srila Prabhupada says that we should also have gurukulas. But of course, nowadays it's not so easy. You need good system, protection and all that. But if we have it properly done, he says, they will become steady within the cause of their hearts, and there's very little possibility that they will be conquered by the modes of material nature when they are older. So if we do it properly, the children will be very Krishna conscious. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports
of the seventh canto,
of the
fifth
seventh
chapter
canto,
of the
chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam,
entitled Prahlad Maharaj,
Maharaj,
the saint
saying
son
son
of
of
Hiranyakashipu.
So next chapter, Prahlad instructs his demoniac schoolmates. Okay, chapter 6. Here he is going to teach them some of the things. Text 1.
Shri Prahlada Vacha
Shri Prahlada Vacha
Kaumara Atare Prajno
Kaumara Atare Prajno
Dharma Bhagavata Niha
Dharma Bhagavata Niha
Durlabha Manusham Janma
Durlabha Manusham Janma
Tadyapadruvam Artadam
Tadapi Yadruvam Artadam. So also another famous verse. Prahlad Maharaj said, one who is sufficiently intelligent should use the human form of body from the very beginning of life. In other words, from the tender age of childhood, to practice the activities of devotion service, giving up all other engagements. The human body is most rarely achieved, and although temporary like other bodies, it is meaningful because in human life one can perform devotional service. Even a slight amount of sincere devotional service can give one complete perfection. Swalpam api asya dharmasya trayate mahatma. A little bit service. Now, it's from the very beginning. Why? Then you can mold the child to the right consciousness. Of course, if you have a terrible child, then it's very difficult. Based on the karma, sometimes you may not have the best of the kids. But if you can, from a young age, then they are more receptive. You cannot wait until later and teach. Sometimes an adult, you can tell them, they say, no, I have too many things, I don't have time, I have so many things to do, I don't have time. They will have so much time to do so many things, but they won't have time to chant, they won't have time to read Prabhupada's books like that. And so therefore it's easy to guide someone who's very young. And then, because at that age also their intelligence can pick up very quickly, like a sponge. So everything they will absorb very nicely. And then once they absorb, they can remember also. Mostly whatever you learn is what you remember, from young. As you get older, less and less your memory works. Like that. So therefore, the system in the old Vedic culture was very good. They don't do nonsense. Boys are separated, girls are separate. They're all taught properly. The goal of human life is emphasized. So they know exactly what to do. But Prabhupada says nowadays they don't teach all this. They only teach how to kill the child in the womb. Like that. Or to increase the economy, they tell the young boys and young girls to have free sex. So that they can be under the medical or welfare, social, all those things. So they want people to be like that, so that they can manipulate, control them, just like Hiranyakashipu. Whereas Prabhupada says our movement is to teach people to perform devotional service, so that they don't become degraded like an animal or perform animalistic lifestyle. Therefore, Prahlad Maharaj is showing us how he, feeling compassion for all of them, he wanted to teach them about the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So just like chanting of Hare Krishna mantra, if the children are taught at a young age, then they will take up the chanting easily. Or not forced and not made into feeling that it's a bad thing. But if they take it up, naturally when they see the feedback, they'll take and chant.
So I spoke about this 2 or 3 days ago, and I'll try to bring that again. So kids, Hare Krishna kids, initially they're all like gems. 8 years, until 8 years, 10 years, 12 years. After that, we see a drop off. We cannot just blame the public school system saying, oh, because of association, they're dropping off. Why is it that they are I mean, that is one major
There's
factor.
many factors, not just the public's education. The parents themselves, how they are making it attractive for the child. And also the child has his or her own karma also.
But then they have chanted for so many years,
Yeah,
so the
doesn't
karma should
matter.
have been suppressed
No,
by now.
doesn't work just because,
Mm.
there's as you grow older and older, those
Vasanas, all of
This
that.
also will trigger at the
the
genius.
aprarabdha karma may manifest like that. So kuta, bija, all those things are there. And as you grow, because based on your previous life, those the bijas will start to fructify. So there is a great force in them to enjoy something. And if they've been trained properly, then they will know how to control their desires. But if there's no proper training, then it's very hard for them to control, as well as being exposed to all the sense enjoyment they see outside also. So all those forces will affect them. They go to school, they hear the kids say, "Oh, did you see this show? Did you see that? Xbox, this box, that box," and then they want to play all those things. So they only see that all these kids are happy and enjoying, and I'm not. I don't have anything. My parents have denied me. So those seeds of dissension is planted by the association, and that becomes a contention point for these children. And so they always think, my parents have always been denying me this. So the opportunity for them to take up their role, and they think, when I'm 18, I can do anything. Like that. Because they feel they're being denied. But I think that could be part of the problem. And I say partly it's your karma also, how they bring from the previous life, how you yourself as a parent raise them, what are the association they get. The parents always want to see the good in the child normally, but at the same time they also want the child to be successful materially also. So then when they focus on the material life, they forget about the spiritual life. So the child is in a perplexed situation. Have to perform in school, have to perform at home. Always too much contention. So sometimes they lose the joy of growing up is lost. They're no more a child, right? School work is whole day study, and they carry a haversack, like in the army, First World War, Second World War. So it is not an enjoyable medium anymore. It's always been a drudgery. And you can ask most kids, how's school? Boring. Rayana. Kids will always say, Rayana, how's school?
Boring.
Yeah.
Now you homeschool, right?
Doesn't matter. The teachers are boring. See, the art of teaching is very... not everyone can teach, let me tell you that. You can learn, but not everyone can actually teach. But because everything is Vaishya, society is Vaishya, everyone wants to make money. So they get into any kind of profession that can make money. But it's not because they want to help the child learn. Very few people are teachers. Just like very few people are doctors. Very few people are lawyers and engineers. They are in there because of past karma situation, and then they force themselves on that situation. So you can say you see lousy doctors, but you have to understand they also must be intelligent to be a doctor. Yeah, but they are lousy because they are not really have the desire to help a sick person. They're just Vaishyas. Vaishyas who are doctors. Like that. Yeah. Text 2.
यथा हि पुरुषस्येह
यथा हि पुरुषस्येह
विष्णुपदापदौ Vishnopadopasarpanam
Vishnopadopasarpanam
Yadesha Sarvabhutanam
Yadesha Sarvabhutanam
Priya Atmeshwara Surat
Priya Atmeshwara Surat.
The human form of life affords one a chance to return home back to Godhead. Therefore, every living entity, especially in the human form of life, must engage in devotional service to the lotus feet of Lord Vishnu. This devotional service is natural because Lord Vishnu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is the most beloved, the master of the soul and the well-wisher of all living beings. So the most important point he makes very in the beginning, the human form of life affords one a chance to return home back to Godhead. It's a very rare, 8.4 million species one have to go through before you get the chance of a human being. And if we don't have Srila Prabhupada's book, we also don't know what the goal of life is. Chances are we won't know. Huh? We will think we have to make money and be the best in our school, best in work. That's about all. Get a good job, marry a good man or a good woman. It's all a lottery, actually. So that's what will happen for most of us. But now we know. Well, we have taken up this process. We know. So therefore, it's a chance to go home to our original place. I mean, really, do you all want to come back? Honestly, ask yourself, do you want to come back to Synergy again? No, right? So go back to Godhead. You have to go back to Godhead.
Where do you study now?
Sorry, Synergy.
Synergy, okay.
Why?
No, I was just curious because you said you want to come back to Synergy.
Yeah.
I was just curious.
So it's like that, yeah. So it's a difficult proposition to think that you're going to come back again. Well, what are the chances you will be in the same situation?
It could be worse.
Huh?
If we come back, it will be worse.
It could be worse. Huh?
The world is getting worse.
The world is getting worse, so you have to go through the education system again.
Costly education system.
Yeah, and you don't know whether you'll be near a temple or a devotee influence. Huh?
Bhakti Shastri exams.
Huh?
Said Bhakti Shastri exams.
You have to do it again
Yeah.
if you become a devotee. The point is, it's not so easy to come back and do everything again. Do your best now and hope for the best. Hope the Lord has compassion and He feels that you have done enough, like that. Because the goal of life is to go back and serve the Lord in one of the 5 rasas.
So how to have that fear of coming back instilled in the heart all the time?
Permanently instilled. You wake up.
That is a good fear.
Yeah, it is a good fear. But that's why you all have to commit yourself to listening to Prabhupada's lectures. Yeah, every day. Because you're listening to a pure devotee, it will affect you. If it doesn't, if you don't, then it won't affect. How often you listen to Prabhupada's lecture? No, right? Yeah.
Reading is okay, right?
Reading is one thing. His lecture is different. Yeah.
Only 10 minutes.
10 minutes.
10, 15 minutes.
Not good enough. You have to live. His generally his lectures are 25, 30 minutes. So you can give him that time.
I hear one lecture.
One
lecture every day.
a
25
week.
minutes. No, every day.
Every day. Good.
Sometimes when I'm sleeping, we have this little thingy.
Yeah. That's good. That's good.
While cooking.
Yeah, you have to listen more, then you can guide them also. It's so purifying. It's very purifying. Okay? I'm not going to ask you.
I listen to Maharaj Prabhu.
That's fine, but you should listen to Prabhupada's lectures also. Otherwise, why we have Prabhupada's lectures?
I listen to Prabhupada's lectures when I'm bored.
Before?
When I'm bored.
When you're bored. Huh? Otherwise, material energy is enjoyable.
Or when I go to sleep, or when I feel really mad.
Okay, but you have to listen. Try to listen as much as possible. The way Prabhupada talks, he gives very simple classes. But the
Very
potency, the
strong.
purity is so good that you will know you have to do something about your life.
Yeah.
I'm not joking. It's a factual thing. If you hear every day, then you will realize how to get out of this situation. Yeah. Yeah. If you just listen to other classes, they may enhance some aspects, but maybe jnana more. You say, I have to memorize like this, I have to quote like that. Those are the things that will come in your hearts. But if you listen to Prabhupada, immediately you say, I have to give up this life. Yeah? You can feel that, right? Yeah. So that's why I encourage you all to do that. First, at least once if you can't do once a day, at least once a week, at least listen to Prabhupada's lecture. Maybe the whole family should sit and listen. Then the whole family will understand we all have to get out of this. Then the focus will change. Otherwise, your goal is different. Everyone will have, a boy will have one goal, girl will have goal, father, mother, everyone. All of you sit down, listen. Then you can ask yourself, isn't that amazing what Prabhupada says? What are we doing about it? What is our focus now? We are always going to forget. As after you listen to Prabhupada, you're going to forget because of the interaction with the material world and every other thing. But if you hear daily, that you'll become more and more conditioned to being a devotee. The desire to please Prabhupada will increase in her. It's a natural feeling. Now, when you chant, if you chant, you will want to do service. This is something I know myself. So if you don't feel that you want to do service, that means you're not chanting. So that all that adds up. Listening to Prabhupada's things, chant nicely, you will find I have to serve properly. So therefore, human form of life, as Prahlad Maharaj is saying, is very important. Because you can't do it in any other form. You can't do it like a dog or a cat or something. You can't. It's very difficult. I've seen devotees also. They don't practice properly, and then in the end, what they do, they will get a dog. They'll have cat in the home, and then because they have no other relationship, so they relate to animals. That's not good and not healthy sign. So these are the things because they've lost interest. So it's important, no? So you will say your child, I'm not saying your child, but I'm saying in general, they'll say, Mommy, Daddy, we want dog. Right? You've been through that? No, good, thank God.
She wants that.
Huh?
She wanted that.
Yeah, see, everyone goes through that. It's common. I want a horse. Where will we keep the horse? But it's like that. They will ask you because of the mixings of different desires come up. Or they watch some friends' home, they go and they have a cat, a bird. They don't take care. And then they'll buy. The parents will say, oh, my child will buy. And then the child won't take care. The parents will have to take care of the dog, the cat, the bird. The child will be too busy going to school and doing homework. So all this thing, if you want to really focus, always remember this. Maybe on the ceiling you put that, this may be your last day. So everywhere you put a sticker saying, chant nicely, things like that. Sometimes you have no choice. Best is Prabhupada. You get up, you play Prabhupada's lecture as you take shower and so on. You do that, so one whole lecture you can be done with.
Only that's what I do, but my only problem there, I guess, it's kind of passive listening.
No, you should be listening as you take because, to your brushing also you listen. So many of Prabhupada's disciples they do that. I know, I've seen it. Ritarva Swami, he one time in 3 months he said, I've gone through like 5 times. 300-400 lectures of Prabhupada, he was saying. So every time, constantly, he's listening or reading and so on. My own Guru Maharaj would play Prabhupada's lectures. When he gets up, immediately he'll play He'll do brush teeth, everything. He'll listen, take shower, he'll listen. Like,
Continuous.
yeah, so they always that consciousness. They don't want to lose that consciousness. Yeah, like that. So that will revive your interest to going back to Godhead. Or when you drive to work, you can listen 5 minutes, 10 minutes there, this way. Yeah. I remember when I used to work like 30 over years ago. When I was driving, I only had one tape. Those days, tapes, but then not many tapes, so only one tape. I listened to it the whole year. I could know everything on this.
What's the next step?
Yeah, like that. But it was, you never get tired of it.
Yeah.
That's what I found. It was so refreshing. Yeah. It's too hot.
Yeah.
Then you're blowing it. Okay. Text 3.
Sukham Indriyakam Daitya.
Sukham Indriyakam Daitya.
Dehayogena Dehinam. Sarvatra Labhyate Daivad.
Sarvatra labhyate daivad.
Yata Dukam Ayatnata.
Yata dukkam ayatnata.
Prahlad Maharaj continued, my dear friends, born of demoniac families, the happiness perceived with reference to the sense objects by contact with the body can be obtained in any form of life, according to one's past fruitive activities. Such happiness is automatically obtained without endeavor, just as we obtain distress. So it's now you know how Prabhupada talks. He's talking from Prahlad Maharaj's teachings mainly. He quotes many things like that. So you don't work hard and you get your happiness and distress. Based on your karma, you're going to get it. But if you don't work in this life, then that next life will be difficult. That's the point. Yeah. Right? You go to the deities, you don't pray for problems, right? You don't say, right, Nila Mother, please give me difficulties. No, you don't. Unless you're Queen Kunti. But that's the situation. We are not Queen Kunti. But in any case, the distress comes. Correct or not? You have to go and have some yoga class with some crazy teacher, right?
Yeah.
And you don't want to have listen to them. It's like that. And they'll talk some crazy philosophy. And you go to temple, they talk one philosophy. So it's crazy. The child will think, what's wrong with this world? So happiness and distress will come, whether you like it or you don't. You understand? It will come. You cannot plan your life that you cannot have distress. It's not going to be like it will come. Therefore, when you are a devotee, you understand it's going to come. So you're not worried anyway. You'll accept it and go through it. So Prabhupada's point is, in the purport is, all this automatically going to come. So therefore, we have no need to waste our time trying to fix such that we won't suffer. We are going to suffer anyway. So his point is better you focus on going out of this system, getting out of this world. So therefore, we have to revive our Krishna consciousness. That's his whole point. Go back to Godhead.
Narada Muni also.
Narada Muni also.
Dream is the same.
Yeah.
Exact same.
So very nice. Yeah. What?
Nothing. Nothing.
Krishna was
Matra
Matra Sparsastu Compare.
Oh,
Sitoshna Sukha.
happiness and distress. Yeah. Like rain and winter and summer season. Yeah. Like it'll come. You cannot say don't come, right? Now it's already summer here. So then you cannot say it's summer will stay, don't go away. It's going to go. It's going to rain.
That's just a rhyme. That's just a rhyme.
Yeah.
Says that is a rhyme. That's a
Rhyme?
rhyme.
What is a rhyme?
Just arrived.
No?
No,
Say no, say that.
It's just a right.
he said it's something rhyme.
It's a rhyme.
Louder. Say louder.
Yeah.
What did you say?
Prabhuji, like all the both sentences were rhyming, but that's not true.
Oh, I said
You
something
said
rhymed.
rhyme.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, so you can't avoid it, you can't do anything, you cannot plan for it, you cannot take insurance against it also. Yeah. But they will have a plan in the future.
Yeah.
They'll say, whatever distress you got, you pay us, we'll make sure your distress won't come. Yeah. They will come with some scheme and foolishly people will pay them. The whole scheme is cheating.
Huh?
Yeah, the whole scheme. Text 4 onwards we'll do tomorrow.
Hare Krishna.